Super Rugby Aotearoa round number 8, team of the week. Interesting games at the weekend. Crusaders losing. Blues losing as well. So, I'll go through 15 guys, go for some stats, some key events, and as always, you guys can let me know your thoughts on who you would have had in your side. Now, first guy, like Nisbo, who announced that the Crusaders had won the game at the end of the game. I'm going to start with a Crusader. I'm going to go with George Bauer getting a start in the week just gone. I thought he scrummaged pretty well and was a bit of a defensive powerhouse with 15 from 16 tackles. That's a hell of a shift. Remember, the Crusaders didn't have a heck of a lot of ball in that game, so they relied on guys like Bauer not to drop markers on the floor, but to get up off the floor and make a whole heap of tackles. He's still got a run meter, 2 passes, doesn't concede any penalties, and overall, I thought put in a pretty good shift when Moody was absent. But on the other side, I have also gone with a Chief in Angus Ta'avao. Ta'avao, I thought, is having a bit of a comeback year after maybe dropping off a bit of form in the last, 12 months. There's been a few guys who've been kind of up and down in the propping stocks, but I think Ta'avao at the moment is having a good, decent run. Speaking of runs, he has 10 of them, and for 10 meters, so that's 1 meter per carry, which is exactly what you want to see from a prop. No more, no less. 1 defender beaten, 3 passes, 10 from 11 tackles, does concede the 1 penalty, but overall, I think puts in a pretty good shift. Now, a guy who puts in more than what you would just call a good shift is this man, Samasoni Tokiaho, and he is one of those kind of dynamic style hookers, isn't he? He just loves a carry, and I still kind of get it burned into my memory. It must have been 20... Goodness me, what year was it? 2019? 2018? No, it can't have been 18. 19 or 20. Tokiaho comes to Eden Park and scores a couple of tries and just absolutely runs riot. I still can't get that out of my head. Interestingly, he's struggled a little bit, as have the Chiefs at line-out time. It's been a bit of a chink in his armour, but he finishes this game 13 runs for 43 metres. This is what I'm talking about when I say dynamic. A clean break and 5 defenders beaten. He's a hard man to bring down. I wouldn't be surprised if he played loose forward at some point during his earlier career. 3 passes, 4 from 5 tackles, but 100% line-out. Not just him, but I'll give him credit for it because he's got to get the throw right. He is an all-important cog in that line-out machine. Speaking of the line-out machine, I will go with Akoi, the Chiefs' lock. I mean, he gets the turnover that wins them the game, essentially. But prior to that, he's also been putting a big shift. 6 runs, 23 metres for a lock. I mean, he is a bit of a powerhouse. Him and his locking partner were both pretty good, actually, Va'i. But Akoi, a clean break, a defender beaten, 9 passes. So he was a real link-up man. An offload, 12 from 14 tackles, and wins 4 line-outs. Proper shift from the young man. Now, maybe a controversial one. I'm going with a Blues man here because I know Va'i also played well. I've gone with Gerard Kauli-Tuioti, maybe the best game I've seen him play for the Blues, despite the fact that it was a losing effort. He was just more able than usual, man. 8 runs for 42 metres is more than what he usually runs. He has a clean break, which accounts for quite a few of those metres. 5 passes and an offload is not quite the same level as Akoi in terms of his involvement, but it's still decent. 8 from 8 tackles is 100%. 5 line-out wins is also very impressive. He does have 1 penalty conceded, but overall, in a losing effort, I still thought he looked pretty good. So, good on him for that one. Loose forwards. I keep picking this guy every week because he keeps performing. Shannon Frizzell. Again, not his best performance either, but he was still very, very good at the weekend. 12 runs for 26 metres. Maybe a wee bit low for him. The carry number is high. The meters is like okay. A couple meters per carry. He can do higher. Likewise, 2 defenders beaten is not his highest by any means. 8 passes, 3 offloads, 11 from 11 tackles, and 4 line-out wins. he's just doing a bit of everything, and he's doing everything well. He's kind of a jack of all trades, but very good at all of them instead of just kind of being average. So, yeah, pretty happy with Shannon Frizzell's season. We'll be very surprised if he's not the starting 6 for the All Blacks when they next get on the park. Another Highlander also put in a good effort was Billy Harmon. Much to the dismay of us Blues fans, he put in a real good shift. 6 runs, 21 metres is pretty good, man. Pretty good. And he's not really known for that much of his game around the ball carrying. He has a defender beaten, 6 passes, 17 from 18 tackles. 17 from 18 tackles is a massive, massive shift. And the guy wins 4 turnovers, which I just realised I haven't written on my notes here. But I remember from looking up his numbers that he had 4 turnovers won. Phenomenal effort. So, yeah, since he's left the Crusaders, he's been getting some minutes and he's been doing pretty well. Number 8, I have gone with Luke Jacobson. I seem to remember he did drop the ball. He's only got 1 turnover conceded registered on the stats, but he definitely dropped the ball at a pretty bad moment, I remember, for the Chiefs. But overall, I still thought he was a very dynamic ball carrier and outshone some of the other guys in that position. Obviously, Blackadder, if you just want the pure tackling machine, he does that, but there's very little with him going forward. Jacobson's kind of the reverse because he's got 13 runs for 43 metres, which is massive. A clean break, 3 defenders beaten, 8 passes and 2 offloads. So all the stuff with the ball is phenomenal. 3 from 3 tackles is nothing that flash. Like Blackadder was like 14 out of 15, but then his offensive stats were like a couple metres, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Which one do you want to go with? And he has to have the 1 turnover conceded. So a little bit risk reward with him. But I thought he put in a good shift. So that's the forwards. Backs, I think you have to go Aaron Smith. His pass is honestly still such a bullet. And it was such a good setup. I know Mitch Hunt finishes with 4 try assists. But often it's Smith who passes him the ball. Which then allows him to... And that sounds silly because 9-10, they're always going to pass to each other. But Smith will cut out like 3 defenders with his pass, and then Hunt gets the last pass, which is like the one to the winger to finish it off. So it's like, if you ever watched ice hockey, they do like primary assist and secondary assist. If you're doing a secondary try assist, I reckon Aaron Smith would probably register a few. He has a try assist of his own. 3 runs for 18 metres is pretty good. 78 passes, he was everywhere. I know that's his job, but yeah, core role is what he's got to get right, and he did. 7 from 8 tackles from him. Now, fly half was a tough one because, as I said, Mitch Hunt 4 try assists, but I think you have to go D-Mac, Damian McKenzie. His goal kicking, man, 100% in a game which was on the slimmest of margins. 100% goal kicking ended up winning the day. 2 conversions and 4 penalties. 100% from him in that regard, and not easy kicks by any means, all of them. Some of them quite tricky. 8 runs, 36 metres, and 2 defenders beaten by his own accounts is not his best day at the office, but still very tidy numbers. 44 passes, which is a lot for a 10 actually. More than some 9s get in one game. An offload and 3 from 3 tackles. So I think everything to like about D-Mac's shift there. Especially up against Mo'unga as well. Up against a really, like an All Black international opponent in the number 10 jersey when he's having his first game at starting 10 for the season. Midfield, I've gone with another Crusader, David Havili. Sometimes I question playing him at 12, but I know they want to get Will Jordan starting, so they move him from 15 into 12, and he's played lots of 12 before, so he can be a 12. 5 runs, 24 metres is good without being great. 2 defenders beaten is good without being great. 3 passes and an offload is a little bit low, but remember the Crusaders didn't have that much ball, so context is everything there. What I do like is the 12 from 12 tackles is a good shift from him, trying to keep the Chiefs guys quiet. He does have 1 penalty conceded. But overall, the other guys were like, what's the Chiefs guy? Nankivell missed like 5 tackles, so wasn't that flash. Gregory was alright again. Faiane had a few tackles as well, but not as many as Havili, so I like Havili this week at 12. 13, I think once again, there's only one man, that's Albie, old Anton Leonard-Brown. Still continues to be the best midfielder in the country at this point, I reckon. A try assist, 12 runs for 78 metres is pretty massive. A clean break, 4 defenders beaten is also very, very impressive. 10 passes, 2 offloads, 4 from 4 tackles. So not asked to do as much defensively, but once again, his team had all the ball. So opposite of Havili, we expect to see him with higher stats for his ball handling than for his defense. Outside backs, and to be honest, old Caleb Clark, I have been a little bit questioning, is he kind of the one season wonder where he comes out with a huge hiss and a roar and he's the business, played for the All Blacks and had that one massive game, and then his other games for the All Blacks were a wee bit quieter, people kind of know what he's about. He hasn't been tearing it up big time in Super Rugby Aotearoa this season, but he had a really good game. Couldn't keep him quiet even if they were trying, man. 13 runs for 117 metres. He has 2 clean breaks, both of them which were quite massive. And unfortunately for the Blues, they couldn't really capitalise on what he was initially setting up. But he was putting in the start. 5 defenders beaten, 4 passes and an offload. 1 from 2 tackles is nothing flash. And a penalty conceded. So it's not a perfect outing, but still pretty good. Another guy on a wing, which is again not perfect effort. I've gone with Punivai from the Highlanders. He finishes with a try, which is a good finish, which is more than Clark could manage. 10 runs for 60 metres is not quite the same run meterage return, but he has 2 clean breaks and a defender beaten. Only the 1 pass. 3 from 8 tackles, so he misses 5. Is a bit concerning, but overall, I thought Punivai was pretty impressive. And fullback, I have gone with Will Jordan. Even though I still don't think, kind of like Caleb Clark, I don't think Will Jordan's quite hit the levels we saw from him last year, but he was still very, very good. He finishes with a try, which all he has to do is put the hammer down. He doesn't have to do much more. A try, 8 runs for 157 run meters is massive. He gets some easy ones as a fullback, that's true. He only has the 1 clean break, which he just, accepts gleefully, happily, a Scott Barrett pass. He was kind of able to beat half a tackle, but he's got no defenders beaten. Like, he would get through and then they would just get him by the ankles kind of thing, but he still looked very dangerous. 4 passes and an offload, 6 from 6 tackles. 6 from 6 tackles is an excellent effort for a fullback. He does have 4 turnovers conceded, so again, not perfect from him, but still a good shift. That's what I reckon. What do you guys reckon for your 15 for Super Rugby Aotearoa round number 8? We've got a couple rounds to go. Still lots to play for. Still lots to like. There's a few guys injured, so we're seeing a little bit of changes in scenery. Jimeno had a pretty good game for the Highlanders. Who else had good games? Tuanga Fassi had a pretty good game for the Blues. Who else had a good game for the Crusaders? Sanders had a good game. A couple good turnovers from him as well. Who haven't I mentioned? I mentioned a Highlander, I mentioned a Crusader, I mentioned a Blue. Chiefs. Who else had a good game from the Chiefs? Nana Satura was pretty dangerous. And Nankerville, ball in hand was good. Maybe not so much defensively. But anyway, you guys have any thoughts? If you got this far in the video, do consider liking the video. That's helpful. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Also helpful. All of that helps YouTube's algorithmic stuff. If you want to support the channel, link to Patreon is down in the description. We've had a few people sign up there recently since I became unemployed. But yeah, you guys have any thoughts? And I'll talk to you soon. See you later.